Good morning. Well, you have to bear with my throat still. so, I want to talk to you this morning about thoughts and how important your thoughts are, and what you put your mind to. And you're told when you're little, you can be anything that you put your mind to, and it's true, really. Your thoughts are so important. Your thoughts control your destiny, and that's I know you're not guaranteed tomorrow, but each day is a destiny. Each day is a destiny, and you get to determine what destiny you lay out for that day. As a Christian, of course, I'm going to talk to you about a destiny that's glorifying to God. But I want to start out with a quote from Stephen Covey in one of his writings, and it actually says to, sow a thought, you reap an action. If you sow an action, you reap a habit. If you sow a habit, you reap a character. If you sow a character, you reap a destiny. And kind of to put that in simple terms is, you know, when you get caught up in your thoughts, and if your thoughts, let's say, are worldly, if your thoughts are fleshly, and they become so strong, eventually those thoughts are going to become actions. Eventually, you're going to act on those thoughts. And first time it may be, well, it's just one time, it's no big deal. But then eventually, over time, the more you think about that and the more that you put those into action, eventually they become habitual. They become addictions. They become habits. And then, once they become habits, unfortunately, that's who your character becomes. You kind of become known as whatever that is that you're constantly involved in, worldly or fleshly. And then ultimately, that's what your destiny is for however long you're caught up in that. So you can look at that fleshly, but you can also look at it biblically. If you Joshua 24:15, for instance, a lot of people put pretty pictures up on their walls and on their refrigerators, and it says the last part of that verse. It says, "As for me and my home, we will serve the Lord." But they forget the first part, and that's okay. But the first part says, "Choose who you are going to serve today," and that's your thought. That's a choice. Choice comes by thought. So when you wake up, you have to choose today, on this day, like April 6th today. Who When I woke up, I have to decide, who am I going to serve today. Am I going to serve my work, my worldly boss? Am I going to serve, you know, what whoever, fill in the blank, or am I going to choose to serve God? And that's what that verse says. It says, choose who you're going to serve today, and then it says, as for me and my home, we're going to serve the Lord. And that begins with a thought, and that's so important each day that you wake up and you make that choice. And once you do that, if you put your thoughts on Christ, and you put your thoughts on godly things, then those thoughts are gonna reap actions that are biblical. They're gonna reap actions that are glorifying to God. They're gonna impact people, and they're not only are they going to cause you to grow spiritually and reap rewards for eternity, but they're also going to help others see Christ in you. So they're going to reap wonderful, glorifying actions, and then those actions eventually are going to become habits. They're going to become, just part of your life. Everybody expects that from you, and you expect it from yourself. And when you're not, doing, if you're off one day, it's going to feel odd to you because it's not part of your habits. It's not part of your normal lifestyle. And then, of course, from those habits, you build a character that's based on a reflection of Jesus Christ, which is wonderful. And then ultimately, that is who your destiny is. Your destiny is, you were someone that did their best to serve God and bring other people closer to Christ. And that's so important. It is, worthy to know that unfortunately, you're not always responsible for what you think, and that's where people get caught up. They get mixed up with this freedom of choice and things like that, but you're not responsible for what you think. There's so many, especially here in 2016, there's so many different things that influence your thoughts. Whether it's devil, whether it's peers, whether it's worldly perspective or worldly influence. Um, whatever the case is, there's so many different things that can influence your thoughts and control your thoughts, but also God. We forget we got music, we have terrible television shows, we have satanic things, we have peer pressure, and somehow we let them control our thoughts. But we also have God, and the Holy Spirit lives inside of us as believers. Is sitting there knocking on you, and say, "Hey, remember me? Um, I also am responsible for what you think." So you're not necessarily responsible for what you think, but you are responsible with what you do with what you think. So think about that. You're not responsible all the time for what you think, but what you do with that thought lays on you. If you think about worldly things, if you think about fleshly things, and you act on it, that's your choice. If you think about worldly things and don't act on it, then again, that's your choice. So, keep that in mind. A lot of times we put too much emphasis on well, the devil made me do it, or it's because my friends did it, or it's because this happened or this. The reality is, those thoughts are always going to be there. There's always going to be the enemy out there trying to control your thoughts, because if they get in here, then they've got you. If they can get in here and control your thoughts, and then you act upon those thoughts, then like Stephen Covey said, it's those eventually will lead to a habitual lifestyle and determine your character and lead to a destiny that's non-productive as a believer, and doesn't really store up a lot for eternity, which so that's your choice. So Leo Tolstoy, another quote from him, he said, "Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself." So that's what I want you to do today. Today's challenge is, to change your thoughts. Look at your life, look at your day before you go out and start whatever it is you do today, whether it's work, whether it's school, whether it's going to the gym, the grocery store, going to eat with friends, family, whatever it is today. Start out by looking at what's controlling your thoughts. What are your thoughts today? Are your thoughts focused on becoming a better Christian? Are your thoughts focused on allowing God to be the only influence of what you think, and then let that determine your actions, and let those actions determine your habits, let those habits determine what your character is, and then ultimately lead to your destiny, however long God gives you here on life. So, I've said this numerous times. I used to say it, and I said it wrong, and I admit that I say it wrong. I used to say, being a Christian was so hard, and I used to stand up in front of teens and many people for years and years. I've done this, but I used to tell people that, look, in this world, being a Christian is difficult, and I've really come to understand through the power of the Holy Spirit that it's really not. We make it hard, but if we allow God to control our thoughts, and we allow God to influence our thoughts, and all we do is act upon them, then a Christian life here in 2016 is easy. It's a lot harder to follow the world and try to impress the peers, and try to impress, evil, and try to impress so many different people and worldly things and keep up with it than it is to just serve God and um, act on the influence that He's put in your heart to control your thoughts for that day, and that ultimately determines your character and of course your destiny. So again, today the challenge is, before you start the day, after you get up, get a shower, brush your teeth, eat breakfast, whatever you do, whenever you have your quiet time with God, I want you to pray that, God, I want you to control my thoughts. I want you to influence my thoughts so strong and allow me to focus on what those thoughts are, and then not only focus on them, but go out and act on them. Whether it's a smile at someone that I normally wouldn't smile at, whether it's going up and being nice to someone that I've been mean to, whether it's taking someone to lunch, whether it's treating your employees different, your employer different, whatever it is, God, I know that you're influencing my thoughts, and today I want to put those into action, and please show me how to put those into action. I'm going to tell you He will, because that's His desire. His desire is we become more like His one and only unique Son, Jesus Christ. And so today, think about that. I know there's a lot of words about think and thought, but it's so important. Our day begins with thoughts, full of thoughts. When I wake up in the morning, I wake up very early. My mind is constantly thinking. Even throughout the day, people that know me, my mind is constantly thinking, and it's thinking of so many different things. But one of the things it's constantly thinking about is God and sermons and how can I influence so and so towards Christ, or how can I reach out to this person that I've tried to reach out in this way, but now, so really, really put your mind on that today, and watch God do His thing. It's amazing. I mean, when you start setting your thoughts on spiritual things, you start setting your thoughts on godly influence. It is amazing. It is amazing to stand back and watch what He will do through your life, no matter what your age is. Some of you may be watching this and think, well, I'm only 12, 13, 14 years old. Let me tell you, Timothy was young. There were a lot of young people throughout the Bible. David was young, in numerous stories about David. So don't let age have anything to do with it. God can still make you so powerful if you allow Him to influence and control your thoughts and you act upon those. Because that's always a choice. He's going to influence your thoughts, but He's never going to force them. He's going to influence them. He's going to show you the right way. He's going to show you what He wants you to do to glorify Him, but you have to act on it. Again, like the quote says, you're not responsible for what you think, but you are responsible for what you do with what you think. So hope this changes your day. I hope you go out and take this challenge head on and just make a huge impact for Jesus Christ and for ultimately His kingdom. And one day we'll have a lot more people to celebrate eternity with. So love you guys, and look for another video real soon. Talk to you later. Bye.